Disabilities Issues and Updates on BCTV is supported by the Berks County Center for Independent Living, Abilities in Motion.
Good morning and welcome to Disabilities Issues and Updates. I am Teresa Faulkner, your host. I am so glad to say that I have heard from some of you, but if you'd like to email me, you can reach me at tfaulkner@abilitiesinmotion.org, or you can call me at 376-0010. My direct extension is 108. I would love to hear your input and your programming suggestions. Before we begin our show today, I have some important announcements I'd like to make. On Wednesday, March the 21st, from 4 to 6, at Abilities in Motion, located at 210 North 5th Street in Reading, PA, we're having a sensory-friendly spring fling from the ages of 5 to 18 years old. Registration is required. If you would like additional information, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to register you as well as to send you information about the event. Also, on Saturday, April the 14th, 2018, Berks Safety Expo. Important resources for families that include children or adults with disabilities. Again, for more information or to register, contact us at Abilities in Motion. We'll either register you or send you additional information. Look forward to seeing you at the event. Today's guest is Kira Kolb. This month is Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness. My guest, Kira Kolb, is here to tell her story, her inspiring story. Welcome, Kira. So nice to have you with us.
Nice
You're
to be
on.
here.
Go ahead and tell your story the way you'd like to do it.
Well, as Teresa said, I'm Kira Kolb, and my injury happened on December 26th in 2012. What a lovely Christmas present, right? I've gotten much better, thankfully, but I still have some issues, and I've been through a lot, like many others with traumatic brain injury, some of which I would love to see change for our future survivors. The one thing I would like to say is that brain injury is very much an invisible injury. You can't tell who has a brain injury. If you go into the mall and just sit down and people watch, you could see somebody with an injury and never know that they have a brain injury. Or you may be able to tell because, like me, before, I don't need to wear it anymore, but before I had to wear a helmet. So you would know something was wrong, but you wouldn't necessarily know I had a brain injury. And today I still wear a brace sometimes. I should probably wear it more, but I don't. So that's the hard part about brain injury, is that it's invisible. And people can tell sometimes that stuff is wrong, but they would just think something is weird with you or not know what's wrong, and they might be afraid to ask. Some people actually have had the gall to ask me, which I say gall, but it's not a bad thing because I don't care. I'm an open book to anybody who asks. So to start, I'm going to give you a brief background information about me and my injury. When I had my accident in 2012, I was 18. Now, it was a car accident, and I believe I was a safe driver. I always drove the speed limit, watched my surroundings, and I never texted while driving. But the accident was very unfortunate. I was driving home from work when my accident occurred, and I actually worked down at the Berkshire Mall in Aeropostale. The weather was not bad when I left work, or so I'm told, but the further north I drove towards home, the worse the weather got. And at the north end of Leesport, about 3 miles away from my house, I got well, we think I slipped on black ice, and I crossed at least 2 lanes of traffic, and I got hit by the oncoming traffic, and I got hit by a fuel tanker. And the fuel tanker hit me when I was sideways, so it actually pushed the passenger side door into the side of my head, which caused my traumatic brain injury. As a result of that accident, my foot got caught under a pedal, and I also had pelvic fractures. And as I said, the side of the door was in my head. In order to get me out of the car, they had to use the jaws of life. That's how bad it was. I do not remember any of this, thank God, because that would be horrifying, I think. But it's what we make of speculation and fact of what we know. My TBI, or traumatic brain injury, is a diffuse axonal injury, meaning that my brain's axons were damaged all throughout my brain. Axons are the parts of cells that help communicate with one another, no matter how close they are to one another or how far away. So basically every part of my brain was affected. Long story short, I've had pelvic fractures, many cuts and bruises, 5 head surgeries, 1 tracheostomy, 2 feeding tubes, 2 IVC filters to catch blood clots, which is good that I had them because I ended up having 1 DVT and 1 pulmonary embolism. And I also have an artificial skull plate. I've had to relearn how to do everything a few times, including eating, swallowing, talking, and walking. And I've had many setbacks throughout my recovery. I'll guide you through my recovery a little bit. My first IVC filter was put in the day following my accident because I was in a coma, so I wasn't moving around, and they wanted to make sure that no blood clots were in my body, or if they were, they got caught by the filter. In 2 to 3 weeks, I was out of my comatose state. Because my pelvic fractures had healed then, I was given the go-ahead to start to walk and move around on my own a bit. Because I could now move, my first IVC filter was removed, approximately 2 months after it was first put in. About 11 months after my first IVC filter was taken out, I had to have my second filter put in. They did that so that I could safely be taken off my blood thinners in order to have my 5th and final head surgery in this whole ordeal. This wouldn't quite be the end of my troubles, though. 3 months after my second IVC filter was put in, I went back to the hospital to have it taken out, which is normal procedure. The doctors ended up not being able to take it out safely, and them, along with my parents, decided to just leave it in my body. They weren't sure, and still aren't sure, of the repercussions it may have in my future, but believed it was the safest option at the time. Not being able to remove the filter was actually a blessing in disguise, because about a month later, my left leg suddenly got super swollen. Then I had an ultrasound of my legs, and an extensive blood clot was found below my IVC filter. If the filter wouldn't have been there, the clot would have went straight to my heart and I would have died, so I wouldn't be here today telling you my story. Throughout this whole process, I was in a few different facilities. Right after my injury, I was taken to Reading Hospital. When they could do nothing more for me, my parents had to find a rehab to put me in. They chose to send me to Bryn Mawr Rehab because Bryn Mawr was the closest out of only 3 places that would take me because of how low my Glasgow coma score was. Here I was both inpatient and outpatient. After I was discharged from Bryn Mawr, I ended up back at the Reading Hospital, and then at Reading Rehabilitation Hospital, where I was both inpatient and outpatient as well. So now you know the basics of what happened to me. It wasn't terribly brief, but 5 years with a brain injury that has many complications within the recovery is hard to cover briefly. Believe me, I could have made it much longer. That was just the short version. So throughout this whole process, my service everywhere was super fantastic. I had superb care, made friends both with the nurses, doctors, and therapists, and with patients and their families, and had a very supportive and hardworking team around me. This was especially important since my body decided to do nothing that everyone was expecting it to do and basically be a complete conundrum. There were only a few problems throughout this whole process. For one, my parents were not aware of any resources available to help me. Luckily, at one of my fundraisers, held for me by my larger community, in March of 2014, Megan Dissinger decided to come. Megan is a neurorehabilitation specialist for the Community Skills Program, which is part of HIP, or the Head Injury Program. Megan told us all about the Community Skills Program, and it sounded great. Sounded like it would be a really helpful thing to have. Then Megan asked how old I was. That was the next problem. At the time, I was only 19. As I said before, I was 18 when I had my accident, and at the time I was in college, going to Berks Technical Institute, or BTI. Because I was out of the public school system at the time of my accident, and I was younger than 21 years of age when I met Megan, there were no resources available to help me. You see, in order to participate in the head injury program, specifically the Community Skills Program, one must be at least 21 years of age or older. This is not just a rule that may be negotiable either, but it's actually a law. The Pennsylvania Code, Chapter 4, Section 6, called Assessment, under General Criteria, states, an applicant shall be eligible for an assessment only if all of the following requirements are met. There are then 5 criteria that must be met. I find all the criteria acceptable except for the third that states that the applicant is 21 years of age or older. The Head Injury Program offers programs such as the Community Skills Program, which offers individual counseling, assistive community integration, group counseling and activities, social skills training, socialization and leisure time activities, instruction in independent living skills, and community-based work assessment, just to name a few. The program was of great help to me as I needed to relearn how to interact with others in the community. Going to group once a week helped me to learn to interact with strangers who then became my friends. We would also go out into the community about once a month as a group in order to help us to relearn how to interact with the community at large and get back into normal society once again. Or we would just have fun, do something that we all enjoyed. Another way that the program helps you to get into the community and learning new skills is to have you volunteer at least once a week. My neurorehabilitation specialist and I volunteered at the Hamburg Salvation Army, where I did a myriad of tasks, from helping to organize paperwork to organizing donations, from making phone calls for donations to helping to create the Hamburg Salvation Army Family Store. Volunteering at the Salvation Army and helping to create a store also helped me to land a job as a store assistant manager. As you can imagine, these services were quite helpful to me and could be quite helpful for those who are 18, 19, and 20, not just those who are 21 and older. I certainly could have used the services before I actually received them, but what could I do? I wasn't old enough. And I'm sure many others could use them who are not yet 21 as well. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, older adolescents aged 15 to 19 years are one of the groups most likely to sustain a TBI, which to me just proves that you need to be able to have that program available if you're not 21 yet. These are statistics that the CDC gathered from 2002 to 2006, but I cannot imagine that things have changed too drastically or gotten better too much. Now, I'm extremely thankful for the family and friend support that I've had throughout everything, as well as the support I've gotten from my doctors, therapists, nurses, and everyone involved in my recovery. My community was superb as well, as they helped to raise funds to help me and my family. But what about those who don't have many resources? Those who do not have a full, loving family and group of friends? Those who don't have such a supportive community and people like Megan who reach out to you to help you? If you fall under the age of 21 but are out of school, pardon my French, but you're screwed. I'm not fully recovered yet, as I cannot yet walk on my own, although I was almost completely walking on my own a couple of times, but then had to have more head surgeries, of course. Thankfully, I can do most things by myself today, though I'm hopefully not done recovering, as I would love to walk on my own once again. This whole process of recovering is very long and sometimes taxing. It takes a lot to try and be positive sometimes, but I always try and stay positive and hope that I will get the results that I'm looking for. I've been successful in my goal of going back to college, though. Starting in 2016, I once again became a college student, this time at Reading Area Community College. And I started out taking only 2 courses per semester, but now I'm working my way up to going full-time, and I'm taking 3 courses this semester. And I've been able to be very lucky, I guess you could say. I'm hardworking, and I've been able to keep my GPA at 4.0, which is super exciting for me. Every brain injury is different. That is what I would like to put out the most. Like, some you can tell people have something wrong with them, some you can't tell at all. Every brain injury is different, though, so it's almost impossible to predict outcomes. But like every other injury, I believe that the sooner one gets help, the better their chances of recovery are.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, amazing. You're a phenomenal young lady. You are.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and bringing awareness to traumatic brain injury.
Yep.
That was a lot. That was really a lot, but...
I've been through a lot more. I could have made it much longer.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Kira, I'm so glad that you came to share your story with us. And I just want our audience to know, what are some of the favorite things? What's your favorite holiday?
I think Halloween.
Halloween is your favorite.
Yep, because you get to dress up and the weather's a little chilly, but it's fun and spooky.
And I like what you said, you get to dress up.
Yeah.
Tell me at least 3 costumes that you wore for Halloween.
Well, one time I was Barbie.
Okay.
I was the Kira Barbie.
All right.
Once I was a cowgirl with a horse, and when I was in my wheelchair, my dad actually made a horse out of a cardboard box and put it on around me.
Uh-huh.
And one time I was actually like a hippie kind of.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. We also had a discussion about, I hear you have a tattoo.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your tattoo?
Well, for one, I designed it.
Okay, all right.
The brain injury awareness color is green,
Mm-hmm.
and the ribbon is like the breast cancer ribbon, but it's green instead of pink.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that and I kind of changed it a little bit into making it actually a green bow. And then I put a crown above it because I like to think I'm a princess.
And you are that.
I call myself the brain injury princess. So I put the crown above it, and then on top, above the crown, it says BIP, which stands for Brain Injury Princess. And then I have 12 because my accident happened in 2012.
Oh, so your tattoo is completed. What do you think your next adventure is going to be?
Well, hopefully graduating college, and I might transfer here to Albright.
Okay. When is graduation? When is the time? It
I'm
depends.
not really sure because I started out really slow, only taking 2 classes, and now I'm working my way up. So I'm not sure how long it'll take me yet, but
I remember in your story you were talking about your parents. Do you want to give them a shout out?
hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy.
Oh, thank you.
They're pretty awesome.
Oh, really? They're awesome? Really wonderful, wonderful. So you're really looking forward to your future. You're looking forward to your present, even now.
Yeah.
How are you going with the process of walking? How is that going for you now?
It's going okay. I'm a little off balance though, but we're working on it, trying to get me better and trying to possibly get a new brace. So that should help.
Well, wonderful. Well, Kira, as I stated, you are indeed a phenomenal young lady, and we, our viewers, really appreciate, and you brought much awareness to traumatic brain injury awareness. I want to thank you for coming and sharing with us. I want to thank you for causing those that might be dealing with the same type of traumatic brain injury, that they would be inspired by your story. And I, along with many others, are looking forward to seeing you, I say, in the marketplace, but at the mall, at Halloween, at the stores, at different places. I really do thank you for being here. Well wishes and all of that
Thank
to you. Is there anything else you'd like to share or say?
I don't think so.
You think
Not
you-
that I can just bring out of my head right now.
Oh, we look to see you in many different places in the community. Again, we at Abilities in Motion would like to remind you of the different events that are going on in the community. If you have further questions or concerns, or if you just like to find more information about us, again, you can reach us at 610-376-0010. My direct extension, if you'd like to speak to me, is 108, but anyone at Abilities in Motion would be able to help you. Enjoy your day, and Kira, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.
You're so very welcome.
Disabilities Issues and Updates on BCTV is supported by the Berks County Center for Independent Living, Abilities in Motion.